Copyright Snap 5, The Beginnings, Who is Ashtoreth? Copyright 2025 by Ace Donovan, Brock Edwards, Mickey Stone. This book is a work of fiction. Any references to historical events, real people, or real places are used fictitiously. Other names, characters, places, and events are products of the author's imaginations, and any resemblance to actual events or places or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Authors: Ace Donovan, Brock Edwards, Mickey Stone. Published and distributed by HoosierHorrorStories.com. Unauthorized reproduction or distribution without the express written consent of Ace Donovan or Brock Edwards or Mickey Stone is strictly prohibited. Bible scriptures in this book are from the King James Version. Chapter 1: Pork and Beans, Hoosier Style. Then that sumbitch grabbed my 2 fingers and wouldn't let go. I grabbed it by the tail and went to snapping it, trying to snap its neck, Stubby Swanson said. Joey McCormick and Reggie Evans began to double over with laughter. I realized that the water moccasin was dead, and I grabbed the line cutter from my pocket and cut these 2 fingers plumb off, Stubby added. Reggie and Joey simply couldn't stop laughing. Tears were forming in their eyes and flooding out of their collective eyes. It tweren't funny. Some bitch hurt like a vise had ripped those. What do you call phalanges? Stubby said. You mean phalanges? Reggie said through coughs and laughter. Whatever dem is. Some bitch hurt now, Stubby concluded. Reggie and Joey were sitting at the bar listening to Stubby tell stories, and they had heard the story of how he had lost his fingers down at Lake Ashtoreth. Stubby owns a bar named Stubby's Pork and Beans. Only not pork and beans Hoosier style. A breaded pork tenderloin and coffee. That is the only thing on the menu. Open from 9 p.m. until 3 a.m. It is a place for drunks to come and hang and sober before going home. Some guys just come and hang out to listen to Stubby's stories from the Marine Corps. He was a black belt in the Marine Corps Mixed Martial Arts program, better known as NCMAP. Stubby saw what drinking can do to a family. He had 2 friends die in a drunk driving accident, and 1 other died from basically drinking himself to death. It was a close friend from the Corps, Maxwell Smith. Robert would not stop drinking, and eventually slipped into an alcohol-induced diabetic coma. Around 1994, Stubby turned the shop over to his boys, Mike and Gabe. Stubby at 6'2" looked small compared to the 6'4" Mike and the 6'6" Gabe. Both were former stars in basketball and football at Winston High School. Mike was a sharpshooting guard who averaged 22 points a game and later took that shooting eye to the Army, where he was a gunner for tanks. Gabe, meanwhile, was a beast of a power forward who went to Purdue as a tight end in football and used the ROTC program to become an officer in the Army, where he became a brilliant strategist. All 3 of the Swansons were musically gifted. They could play anything with strings and several without, and about once a month they joined together to play music of the 70s. Anything from Johnny Cash to the Cars and everything in between. The drunks and the story seekers all loved it. In a 3-on-3 basketball game, do not bet against the Swansons, and in a bar fight, as Stubby would say, those other sumbitches better watch out. Chapter 2: The Newbie in Town. Tommy Carter was the basketball coach and Terry Levine was the baseball coach at Winston High School. They had both been hired 2 years ago to take over their respective programs. Tommy had a hard task, as the basketball team had floundered at or near 500 for 6 straight seasons. In his 2 years, they were a combined 26-18 and showing improvement. Terry Levine took over a program that was typically successful and had a young phenom named Clem Carrington, who was a flame-throwing lefty. A state championship was in grasp. Both being single, they decided to rent a 3-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms and would rideshare when possible. They decide after the first year to be each other's assistant. Today was the first day of teacher beginning of the year meetings. Tommy and Terry arrived just in time for the meeting in the auditorium. They took their traditional positions near the back, far enough from the front that as they chatted and occasionally dozed off, they couldn't be seen, but close enough they appeared interested. Principal Melvin Gordon welcomed everyone back for another great year. He has said that every year for the last decade, and introduced the new teachers, of which there were 4, and lastly introduced the new school counselor, Ashley Torrance. Ashley looked like a young Raquel Welch. Tommy glanced through a slit in one eye and immediately sat up as Terry was mesmerized by her beauty. Ashley confidently stepped to the microphone. "Good morning. I am so excited about coming to Winston High School. A little about myself. I have an undergrad in modern dynamics from Cal Berkeley, a master's from Long Beach State in educational leadership, and a doctorate from the University of Michigan in child psychology," she said. "What the heck is modern dynamics?" Tommy asked Terry. "SHHHH, I think I am having a wet dream," Terry said with a muffled laugh. "Good grief," Tommy said in return. Dr. Torrance continued. "I spent 4 years at Watts High School in Los Angeles, 3 years in the same position at Woodrow Wilson High School in Detroit, and 3 years as head counselor at Ben Davis in Indianapolis, and I am downright giddy to be here. I am here to ensure that everyone is safe and successful. I believe in equality and diversity. Bullying will not be readily tolerated in any shape or form." "Is she running for office?" Tommy said with a chuckle. "She wins the election for my office," Terry said, raising his eyebrows. Tommy rolled his eyes. "When I was 14, a friend and I were splashing around in a pond, and I felt a slap to the back of my head. I was angry and turned quickly to see it was a 6-year-old child. It was slapping the water vigorously, and I realized he was drowning. I grabbed him under the armpits and swam him to safety. I will never allow anyone to drown here. My door is always open. We cannot and will not allow anyone to drown here at Winston High School. We will save them all," she added. Some of the teachers groaned at the last part. They were jaded by years of teaching. Some of the teachers, especially the younger ones, were delighted. Some were barely listening. Some were jealous of her good looks, and some were hoping she was single. Tommy just felt there was something a little strange about Dr. Torrance. He was almost certain she had 2 sets of eyelids. "Man, I must be tired," Tommy murmured. "What was that?" Terry said. Tommy just shook his head. "And I am just so blessed to be here," Dr. Torrance said in conclusion. Chapter 3, Sethridge Pharmaceuticals. Dr. Ashley Torrance sat across the desk from the man in charge. He spoke. "Good afternoon, Dr. Torrance. I hear through the grapevine that you are going to be a great addition to our community." "You may call me Ashley, Mr. Schnell. I intend to be an enormous influence on this community. I was brought here to do a job, and I will do that job," she said. The man across from her was Helmut Schnell. Helmut Schnell was the CEO and part owner of Sethridge Pharmaceuticals. More importantly, he is a major player in a group known as the Lords of Brimstone. It is a secret society that exists for the sole purpose of hedonistic activities. It is a group of influential individuals from all walks of life. A group that Ashley Torrance is also a member of. I am here to assist you in any way I can. I can provide you with financial assistance or physical and spiritual help," Schnell said. "I am not sure I will need physical help. I have many skills," she said, as her right eye appeared to be that of a serpent. "Understood," Schnell answered. "Let me tell you a bit about Sethridge. We are located on over 100 acres. About a mile from here is Lake Ashtoreth. There are many beautiful homes there. Living there is my assistant Kyle Roth. He has 2 teenagers there at Winston High School, Jenkins and Tiffany. Tiffany is a senior, and Jenkins is a freshman. They occasionally need guidance. There is a goody-goody who owns a dive bar called Stubby's Pork and Beans. It is one of my desires to buy that land and destroy that building. There are entities that exist there that do not agree with our standards. If you understand what I mean, Helmut said. You mean a believer bar? Ashley asked. Not at all, but it welcomes those spirits. We are doing a lot of interesting work here at Sethridge. I am working on some very important developments with Nephilim, Helmut said as Ashley raised her eyebrows and tilted her head. Exactly. It is going to be earth-breaking. Literally, Schnell said. Any signs of the shield? Ashley asked. None. I am not sure they are aware of us here. We have enough things going on in D.C. and the West Coast to keep their interest occupied. No one cares about what goes on here in bumfuck Egypt. We will be fine. I need you to make sure you allow folks to come out of the closet. Let's steal something like the rainbow. Why not break the rainbow from those hypocrite Christians? No one has to know any better. Just start passing out rainbows. We will know what they mean. We have a way of transporting our products. There are underground tunnels here on our 100 acres that lead to many other cities. They were a part of the Underground Railroad in the 19th century, and then revamped by Al Capone to help him push moonshine out of Chicago. We use them for other things. Schnell finished. Understood, Ashley said. Mr. Schnell, I am sure we will be in touch. We? Schnell asked. Ashley stepped toward the standing Schnell and slid her hand down his chest and let it rest on his crotch as she massaged, and then let her tongue slip inside his mouth. Schnell flinched as he was sure the tongue had two parts. He grimaced. As Ashley pulled away, she winked. A wolf howled and Tommy Carter rose quickly from an AP on his couch. What was that? He said out loud as he shook his head and sat up. Chapter 4. Well, that was weird. Tommy Carter walked in through the back door of Winston High School. The entrance was closest to the weight room, which was immediately on the left. The boys' varsity locker room was to the right, and the boys' junior varsity locker room to the left just past the weight room. You walk another 50 feet, and it was a practice gym complete with rubber floor. Tommy could hear a baseball popping into a mitt as he approached and looked inside. Not to his surprise, there was Clem Carrington, the freshman phenom pitcher that Terry was hanging his hat on. Tommy looked in, and sure enough, in a netted bullpen, Clem was throwing the ball to catcher Dexter Baxter. Hey, boys. Getting in some work, I see, Tommy said. Oh yeah, Clem said. Gonna throw 50 curveballs. Gotta set the cheese. Clem responded. Where's Coach? Tommy asked, referring to Terry Levine. Dexter Baxter simply pointed upward. Above the practice gym was a wrestling room complete with universal weights and 5 treadmills. Hey, Terry, Tommy yelled. Yo, bro. You finally wake up? Terry replied, huffing as he jogged into his 3rd mile. Tommy pointed as he spoke. I am going to my office to watch film of North Adams. Last year's game still haunts me. Come by and get me, and we will go to the lunchroom together. Terry gave a thumbs up, and Tommy walked down the hall to his coaching office on the right-hand side. He took a seat in a recliner after loading the video of last year's 69-62 loss at home to North Adams. North Adams finished the year at 14-8, and Tommy knew they had to beat North Adams this year to win the conference. He was taking notes on a yellow pad when there was a knock at the door. Tommy knew it was too soon for Terry, so he presumed it would be Clem and Dexter. Doors opened. The door swung open, and Tommy was surprised to see Ashley Torrance walking into his office. Hi, Tommy, Ashley said. Hello, Dr. Torrance. To what do I owe this distinguished visit? Tommy said as he grabbed the remote and hit pause. Oh, please call me Ashley, she said as she took a seat on the love seat in Tommy's office. He couldn't help but notice the extremely short skirt and very nice legs of Ashley Torrance. I believe you have earned the title Dr. just as I have earned the title of coach. Tommy said, sending a message to Dr. Ashley Torrance. I see. Duly noted, Coach. Ashley said with a hint of sarcasm. So, I just wanted to say that I think what you and Terry are doing is such a great influence for the kids. Thank you. You know, not everyone sees the value of coaches and what we do, Tommy said. Ashley adjusted how she was sitting as Tommy averted his eyes. Coaching is very noble, but I was talking about your lifestyle. Lifestyle? Tommy asked. You know, openly living as gay men in the 90s. That can't be easy, she said. Gay? We aren't gay, just friends and saving some money, Tommy said with a confused look on his face. Sure, saving money, Ashley said with a sink. Tommy just shrugged. So anyway, I just wanted to see what I could do for you. You know, make your job easier, she said as she recrossed her legs and Tommy caught a glimpse of the white thing she was swearing. He dropped his eyes as he shut his recliner. As a social studies teacher, I would like to add a freshman economics class. By the time they take econ as a senior, most of the students have checked out and aren't really learning all the pitfalls of our economy, and they become enslaved to student loans and credit cards. If we do that, then the class as a senior is more a reminder. It just makes more sense to me. It would be freshman sociology. I think sociology is very important, so we can teach diversity and inclusivity. You know, like you and Terry, she said with another wink. Tommy grimaced. He knew it was no use telling her again. We are just waiting for the right mate, he added. How do you know it is the right mate? Ashley asked as she readjusted purposely with her legs wide and then closed with locked ankles. I believe the Holy Spirit will talk to me through my subconscious, Tommy said. So God will choose, she said. Kinda. I don't believe there is just one person out there for anyone. I believe it is about connecting with the one that shares your belief and dreams, Tommy said. So the one God chooses, Ashley said as she leaned forward showing interest. It isn't as simple as that, Tommy said. Maybe you should teach sociology. I would be interested in seeing how you would spin things, Ashley added. No thanks, I don't want that job, Tommy said. So you believe in God? She asked. I do. I have for all my life. But now I live for God. There is a difference, Tommy replied. I live to please Him, not myself. I used to live to please myself and every hedonistic desire. No longer, now I try and live in a way that will please Him with my actions. It is warm in here, Ashley said as she unbuttoned her top 2 buttons and her ample bosoms were showing. It was a test. I can turn on the air conditioner, Tommy said as he stood. The door knocked and Terry walked in. Oh, hi, Dr. Torrance, Terry said. Ashley stood, saved by the knock. She rose and brushed by Terry, making sure her breast slid past the chest of Terry. Terry looked at Tommy. Well, that was weird. You don't even know, Tommy said. Let's go to lunch. Chapter 5 Rivals. It was Indiana high school football at its best. Tonight, it was a clash of 2 powerhouse teams in north-central Indiana. Visiting 4th-ranked Winston High School were the number 1 ranked Panthers of Greerton. It was a huge event. All 3 television stations from Fort Wayne were there to do live reports. There were at least 10 newspapers there, and no less than a dozen Division I college scouts to watch this battle. Even Agnes Woodstone, the Democratic nominee for governor, was there handing out pamphlets, stickers, magnets, and flyers proclaiming all she could do for the Hoosier state. Ashley Torrance was a very close friend of Woodstone, and some say that Dr. Torrance was a lover of Woodstone, as most recognize Woodstone as a lesbian. On this night, Ashley kept her distance, knowing this was neither the time nor place to allow any information pertaining to Woodstone and her relationship to be shared. There was plenty of law enforcement at the game with a crowd of over 6,000 in the stands. These teams are rivals, and most of Winston disliked the city folks of Greerton. Greerton was close enough to Fort Wayne to get folks willing to live there and commute to the city of nearly 150,000 folks. A roar came from the visitors' side of the field as their Panthers strolled onto the field, arms locked, showing unity. As they left the end zone area and hit the 20-yard line, several of the players got down on all fours, and the players behind them acted as if the players were on leashes. They growled like panthers, and as they got to the 50-yard line, they perched as if urinating on the Raven symbol at the midpoint. The Winston fans booed, and many came from the bleachers and stood at the fence yelling obscenities as the officers restored order. "Ladies and gentlemen, your Winston Ravens!" the announcer roared as a pre-recorded "All Aboard" screamed from the speakers, and then the familiar guitar riff of Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train belted. The Winston players walked slowly as they entered the field of play. The Winston crowd stood in approval as the players were wearing all black uniforms, black pants, blank shirts, and silver numbers. They had their traditional black helmets, but the uniforms were new. On the right sleeve was the Chevrolet bow tie. On the left shoulder a raven. These classy new uniforms were purchased by Sparky Newman, the owner of the local Chevy dealership and father of Ravens star running back Mark Newman. The Ravens walked straight to midfield and began yelling and swearing at the Panthers, and they returned the favor. School officials from both sides and police officers along with the referees restored order and warned both sides that this behavior was not going to be tolerated. Stubby, Gabe, and Mike joined in all the yelling, with Stubby screaming, "You some bitches better kick their ass." The assumption was he was cheering on the local boys. "Dad burned, boys, this is going to be a barn burner," as both Gabe and Mike nodded in approval with Stubby's comments. As halftime approached, Ashley Torrance stepped to Debbie Ryan and cheerleading coach and said something to her. Virtually all the eyes of the men on the Winston side of the field watched her stride. She was wearing a form-fitting pair of blue jeans, a Winston black sweatshirt with "Back in Black" written on the back in the same silver letters as the uniforms, and the Chevy bow tie on one sleeve and the Raven opposite. She was wearing a pair of pump shoes with no socks, and her silver-painted toenails got everyone's attention. The buzzer sounded to signal the end of the half. The Ravens were clinging to an 8-7 lead. Gabe nudged Stubby and said, "Daddy, I want one of those for Christmas," pointing to Ashley Torrance. Stubby laughed. "Some bitch, they don't create backsides like that very often," Stubby replied. "They sure as hell don't," Mike said, and as Ashley Torrance turned around, Stubby went white as a sheet. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Some bitch, Mike. She looks identical to that piece of shit that killed Floyd and Gary in 1968 in that drunk driving case. I swear that is Mary Lawrence or her daughter." "It has to be," Stubby said. "Dad, she would be like 75, and if it was her daughter, she would be at least 50. That piece of ass is neither," Gabe said. Ashley Torrance turned to look at the crowd, and Stubby muttered, "Some bitch, boys, that has to be her." Chapter 6, A Confrontation. As the game reached the midway point of the third quarter, Greerton opened a 15-8 lead over the hometown Ravens, when the middle linebacker for the Panthers laid a questionable hit on Winston quarterback Neil Hughes. Some say it was just a football tackle, and others say it was dirty. Depends on which side of the football field you were sitting on at the time. Nonetheless, Hughes' night was done. With backup quarterback Sammy Miller ineligible, Winston turned to freshman Jenkins Roth. He was the best player on the junior varsity team and had a better arm than Hughes. Coach will mildly surprise the crowd by having Roth throw the ball 3 straight times, and Winston was moving. Once they reached the 5-yard line, Roth was under pressure, and he suddenly broke for the end zone and lowered his shoulder and rolled right over the same linebacker that had injured Hughes. The two fell into the end zone with a score for the Ravens. Roth dropped the ball and looked down at the stunned Panther. "Can't hurt me, you bitch," Roth said, as the two began to scuffle and drew off, setting unsportsmanlike penalties. What was new at a game like this one? Coach Miley sent on the kicker, and the Ravens tied the game at 15. That would be the last time the Ravens would score, and a crazy 52-yard punt return was the difference, as the Panthers won 22-15. As the fans filtered out following the game, you could hear Ravens fans rumbling about why they didn't go for two and old Miley should be fired. Others were excited about the young Roth and how tough he seemed to be. "Could be a real star," many were saying. Gabe and Mike ducked into the restroom as Stubby was standing under a light post waiting for the two to emerge when he saw Ashley Torrance. "Ma'am, can I speak to you?" Stubby said. "Sure, Stubby, what's up?" she replied. "How did you know my name?" Stubby asked. "Everyone knows the famous pork and beans," Ashley replied with a smile. "What did you need?" "Have you heard of Mary Lawrence?" Stubby asked. "Of course not. Why should I?" Ashley said with confidence. "You look exactly like her." "I don't know how, but I think you are her," Stubby said. "How could I be a 70-year-old woman from a car crash?" Ashley said with even stronger confidence. "I didn't say anything about a car crash." Stubby craned his neck and looked at Ashley with a side eye. "Are you her?" Ashley Torrance had a huge smile and then flopped out her tongue and made a slithering sound. "You old moron," and with a flick of a finger, Stubby hit the ground on his knees and then toppled over on his face. "Don't mess with me, old man," she said as she helped him to his feet. Stubby could feel the tightness in his chest. "Who or what are you?" Stubby said as he brushed off his knees as Gabe and Mike approached. "Everything okay, Dad?" Gabe said as he approached the two. Stubby shook his head yes, but his body language said no. "You have a good night, Stubby." "Have a good evening, boys," Ashley said with a wink. She made sure to shake her as just enough as she walked away. "Dad? Dad?" Mike asked. "Let's just go home," Stubby said with a certain amount of fear and frustration combined. Chapter 7. In the boys' room. Sethridge Pharmaceuticals is a well-known company, a true mover and shaker in the industry, and a company that is on the cutting edge of experimentation. Some of them sanctioned and some of them not so sanctioned. At the head of the company is the charismatic CEO Helmut Schnell. Schnell is a German-American who maintains citizenship in at least 3 different countries. Rumors around the globe say they are dabbling in Nephilim and other enhancement drugs. Schnell was in the restroom to relieve himself when the window around 8 feet in the air for ventilation slammed shut, and the door hammered its way closed, and the deadbolt slid to a lock. Schnell's head snapped around to find the room empty. "Shit! This is exactly why I don't use the employee restroom," he muttered to himself. Then he felt it, the smell, the feeling of dread, the feeling of complete loss. Then the voice that sounded like thunder rang. "Good day, Schnell?" It rang. Schnell turned in mid-zip and tried to hurry putting away his penis when he was shocked to see a second person standing there. It was Ashley Torrance. "Oh, Helmut, I have seen that before. How I have had it in my mouth." "Don't flatter yourself," Ashley said. The other voice rang out. "Enough. I don't have time for this. I have a world to run." The body attached to the voice smells rancid. It stands at least 7 feet tall and seems to have layers. The body is virtually all black except for a gleaming red eye in the middle of the forehead. Its mouth had too many teeth and was accentuated with 4 fangs. The fangs dripped with a stench that cannot be described with words, but when you smell it, you will know it. The rest of its teeth seemed to glow green, and when it spoke, foam oozed from the mouth. Its feet resembled that of a goat's hooves, pushing it beyond 7 feet. "I need an update, Helmut." I need you to continue to push Agenda 29. We have just a couple of decades. We need transgenderism, gay marriage, transsexualism, polyamour, a loss of right and wrong when murder is accepted for personal gain. That is why Ashley is here. She will be indoctrinating as many teens as she can across the United States, it said. Yes, Ashley slithered. How are you doing in producing a lab-made disease? I need a disease to start the 21st century that will cause an entire lockdown. I have arranged for you to have $160 billion. That money will be at your disposal. I need you to endorse Agnes Woodstone for governor. She can help push Agenda 29. She will allocate over $300 billion to suffrage to help us, it said. Sir, with all respect, how do we know this Agnes Woodstone will not turn her back on us? Helmut asked. I am here to make sure she follows through with the plan. As you know, I can be very influential. Ashley chimed into the conversation. You have your orders, it said. I need you to donate $1 million as a donation by legal means, and you can keep her campaign giving a little extra when needed. With all due respect, Master, this is a state of supermajority. There are so many Republicans. How will money help? Helmut asked. I have someone to take care of that. You will meet her someday. Her name is Sally Joe. She has a lot of influence and has the ability to hack votes. It will be handled. You worry too much, it said. Yes, Master, Helmut said. It turned its head, and in a huge combination of smoke and fire, it was gone. Frolian, care to join me on a ride to Agnes Woodstone? Helmut asked. Indeed, Helmut, indeed, Ashley said. Chapter 8, Striking a Deal. It was study hall for Senior Shane Frost when the office runner came to the door of room 206 with a pass for Shane to go to the counselor's office to see Dr. Torrance. He had no idea why. He made the trek down the stairs toward the main office. The counseling office was located down the hall inside the main office and into the last office. The first office was occupied by the principal, the second for the assistant principal, the third belonged to the athletic director, and then finally Dr. Torrance. On the opposite side of the hall was the teacher's lounge and workroom. Shane showed the pass to Miss Perkins, the office secretary, and after she buzzed Dr. Torrance on the intercom, she told Shane that Dr. Torrance was ready. As Shane walked down the hall, Mr. Monk, the athletic director, came out of his office and gave Shane a high five. Frosty, Mr. Monk said with a big smile. Shane smiled back. He really liked Coach Monk. Coach Monk played high school baseball and football at South Bend St. Joe's and had coached 2 state championships in baseball at West Lafayette before landing here as an assistant in football and the AD position. Shane knocked on the door to Dr. Torrance's office. Come on in, Shane, she called to him. Shane nodded and walked through the threshold of the door. Have a seat, Dr. Torrance said as she pointed to the chair across from her desk. Shane let his 6'5" body rest onto the chair. He was long and lean and 185 pounds soaking wet. Shane would be soaking wet a lot as he was an all-state swimmer quite often. He had been a great swimmer since he was a kid. He had dreams of eventually trying to make Team USA. It was a long shot, but then again, isn't that what dreams are for? Shane, I have been looking at your transcripts, and I see some real potential. Good math scores, and you just excel in all your business classes. What would you like to do? She concluded. I would like to try and swim collegiately. Coach believes I could win the state in the 400 freestyle. I finished 4th last year behind 2 seniors and a fellow junior. But I have shaved almost a full second off my time, which puts me within a hair of the kid from Bloomington. I think I can beat him, Shane said with confidence. Have you looked into Indiana University? They have an excellent swim team. I mean, the great Mark Spitz went to school there. Could be a great fit, Dr. Torrance said. Dr. Torrance, I don't have great SAT scores, Shane replied. Please, Shane, you are an adult now. Call me Ashley, she said. I don't think my father would appreciate that. I would rather not, Shane said. I don't see your father here, Dr. Torrance. That's okay, Dr. Torrance, Shane interjected. So, I was out of the question. How about Ball State? Chirp, chirp, Ashley said. Well, if only I could get in there, Shane said. They would love a state champ. Besides, one of my sorority sisters is the head of the business department. You know, sore horse, Ashley said with a laugh. Shane giggled nervously, not really wanting to laugh. I am sure we can get you into the school. Who knows? A visit with the swim coach and maybe a full ride, she added. Wow, but how do I get there? Since my mom died, Dad works at the garage 6 days a week and Sunday is for church, Shane said. Don't worry about that, hun. I can take you. I am taking Barbie Ray to a visit. Maybe we can make it a two-fare. A threesome even, Ashley added with a wink. That would be great, Shane said. It sure would, Dr. Torrance said, as a pen dropped from her desk and rolled underneath her desk. I can get it, Miss Torrance, Shane said as he got off the chair and reached to get the pen. Ashley adjusted in the chair and spread her legs just a tad, and Shane saw her pubic hair. She was wearing crotchless panties, and Shane quickly looked away to the floor and fumbled the pen. Here you go, he said as he placed the pen back on the desk. Thank you, sweetie, Dr. Torrance said with a glance. That kind of glance. Yes, ma'am, Shane said. So you will let me know the date? I will, Ashley said as she stood from her chair. Oh, thank you. You are a real blessing from God. This is awesome, Shane added as he held out his hand for a shake. Ashley took his hand but pulled him close for a hug. Certainly not an appropriate hug. She could feel him grow, and she knew she was winning this game. Chapter 9, The Teacher's Lounge. The next morning Shane Frost sat in Coach Tommy Carter's classroom, enjoying a chocolate-covered donut and chocolate milk. The last Friday of each month, athletes met in this room for fellowship of Christian athletes. Tommy Carter and Regina cooked the softball coach. They read scripture, pray, and of course most importantly for the majority of the high schoolers their donuts and milk. After the meeting, Shane approached Coach Carter. Coach, can I have a moment with you? Of course, Frosty. What do you need? Coach replied. Well, yesterday, Dr. Torrance had me come to her office and discuss college. Coach Carter stayed silent and waited. Well, it was awkward. She was overly friendly, Shane said. You know, Shane, she is a new faculty member here, and she probably is too nice, Tommy said. Tommy had strange feelings about Dr. Torrance himself, but knew to keep it in his own thoughts. Maybe. I guess it was a good meeting. She is taking me and Barbie Ray on a visit to Ball State, Shane concluded. Tommy shook Shane's hand and said, That is great. Keep me updated. Tommy really wanted for Shane to keep him updated. Okay, Coach, Shane said as he grabbed his backpack and slung it over his right shoulder. See ya, Coach. Tommy nodded and then grabbed the leftover donuts and a half-gallon of milk and was going to take it to the teacher's lounge. Tommy Carter walked into the teacher's lounge and sat the box in the middle of the table and placed the milk beside it. Yes, sir, came a barreling cry for Wiley Mills, the longtime shop teacher. Nothing better than Christian donuts, he added. 3 of 4 of the teachers grabbed donuts and washed them down with either milk or coffee. 20 minutes before the first bell, Dr. Torrance entered the room. Tommy Carter had waited hoping to see her. There were plenty of good mornings as he walked into the room. Dr. Torrance grabbed a jelly filled and took a big bite. She said. Where did these come from? Wiley belted in. From the Christians. Ashley Torrance furled her eyebrows as if to say, What? They are left over from FCA, Coach Carter said. Oh, was Ashley's response was almost disgusted. Hey, Dr. Torrance, I wanted to talk to you. I heard you are taking Shane and Barbie to Ball State, Tommy Carter said in a matter-of-fact manner. Shit, she groaned as jelly squirted from the back of the donut. Right on my boob. Hee, I will get it off for you, Wiley said as Ashley turned and gave a truly disgusted look. Ashley walked to the sink and got a towel wet. I don't need help, Tommy, and definitely don't need help from you, Wiley. Wiley laughed heartily at the comment. Tommy seemed confused. Even though he was thinking of asking, he hadn't asked. I didn't ask, Tommy said. I just figured you were going to ask to help chaperone to ball you, she said. I wasn't going to ask, he said. Well, that was a lie, he thought. Are you sure? Ashley said, as he wiped her blouse free of the jelly. The friction caused her nipples to harden, much to the delight of Wiley. It's getting chilly in here, Wiley said. Oh my God, you are childish, Ashley said, while giving her nipple an extra brush. Tommy watched as Ashley washed her hands. He squinted and shook his head. He was quite certain that Ashley's hand was scaly, almost alligator-like. He shook his head again. What is wrong, Tommy? Ashley asked. I just didn't get enough sleep last night. Been having wild dreams and losing sleep. Well, you boys behave, and Wiley watch your pants, she said as she glanced at his growing crotch. Wiley quickly looked away as he was embarrassed. Another win for Ashley. I will see you later, Tommy. Tommy knew that he saw what he had seen. He knew something wasn't right. Chapter 10. Sally Jo Melbourne. 28-year-old Rodney Meeks sat in the silver Volare watching the pub near the Indiana and Michigan border. In the passenger side was Billy Buck, a 40-something former Green Beret. Rodney, more commonly referred to as Bucky by his friends, was a graduate of the Naval Academy and a logistics officer in the United States Marine Corps. Not only a logistics expert, but he was also a budding computer expert. His military training allowed him to adapt to the new technological world of the mid-90s. His companion today, Billy Buck, was a modern-day Rambo, the movie hero from a decade before. He loved to live in the woods and seemed to only venture out when the shield of Abraham needed him to emerge. Buck was an expert in hand-to-hand combat and was more than accurate with a bow. Buck had long jet black hair. He wore it in 2 long braids. Many would assume he was Native American, but Buck was the son of an Irish immigrant and a mother from the Philippines. He had green eyes and was 6'1" and wiry. He was a grappler. When you got into a fight with Buck, you certainly didn't want him to get you on the ground. He could gut you with his knife or put you to sleep by attacking your neck. The two of them were on a stakeout for the shield. They were watching Ashley Torrance. Torrance was up here for a secret meeting at this pub. They had been following her for about 2 weeks in a mundane job at a school in East Central Indiana. Billy Buck knew her as Mary Lawrence. Mary Lawrence ran a house of prostitution in Thailand. Buck visited the house on several occasions during his second hitch in Vietnam. Somehow, the lines in Billy's face showed his 40-some years, while Mary Lawrence was almost 50 then. Yet, now, as Dr. Ashley Torrance, she looked to be in her 30s. Buck rolled down the window and spit out a wad of chew. Here we sit, the Rodser and Buck watching for this fucking bitch. I wish the shield would just let me slit her devil-lovin', soul-sucking throat, he said, wiping his brown-soaked lips from his Red Man chew. Rodney Meeks giggled. I am sure you would love that. Billy Buck spit another round. Hell yes. From ear to shing ear. God bless America, land that I love. Buck laughed at his cleverness. Rodney Meeks just shook his head. The back door suddenly swung open and quickly shut. A wafting smell of strawberries hit as Billy Buck grabbed his knife and in one motion launched himself into the back seat and had the knife to the throat of an attractive blonde with curves in all the right places. "Help me," the voice struggled to grunt with knife on her throat. "Sally Joe Melbourne?" Billy Buck said. "Tell me why I shouldn't gut your ass at this very moment." Rodney Meeks was stunned at the speed of Buck and was adjusting the rearview mirror to watch the events unfolding in the back seat. "I need help. Please just let me talk to you," Sally Joe said. Billy Buck let her sit up. "Put your hands on the back of the front seat. You move and cut out your kidney in 2 seconds. I am well aware of your abilities, Billy Buck." "I need help," Sally Joe said. "You are on repeat right now, Sally Joe. Why the hell do you need help? Your little friend's trying to sacrifice you to the bowels of hell?" Buck said as juice ran down his jaw and he wiped with his shirt sleeve. Sally Joe was disgusted yet somehow attracted to the roguish features of the man holding a knife and threatening to kill her. They are trafficking young girls, and they took my daughter. She is 12. My God, help me, please. It's all fun and games with the Lords of Brimstone until they take your daughter. What if I don't believe your lying ass?" Billy said as he did a quick take on his surroundings. Please help me. I am telling the truth," Sally Joe said as a tear gathered in the corner of her eye. Rodney interrupted. "She is on the move. Mary Lawrence or Ashley Torrance was getting into B&W and driving away. Follow her and you put your hands behind your back." In what seemed like a second, Billy reached up and had Sally Joe in a sleeper hold, and she was out for the count. "What do we do with her?" Rodney asked. "We need to get in touch with Spaulding. Once we get to wherever that bitch is going, you find a pay phone and beep Spaulding," Billy Buck said as he rolled down the window and dug out his chew and tossed it away. Chapter 11. Spaulding Knox. Spaulding Knox is one of the 10 richest men in the world. He began with money, and due to shrewd financing, he had $12 billion. His father left him $222 million, give or take a handful of hundreds. He used it to buy a steakhouse and called it Barney Rubble's, a steakhouse with prehistoric-sized portions. 10 years later, he had franchised 350 of them at $80,000 apiece for another $28 million. He developed Hanna-Barbera Land, a series of amusement parks, and he was worth $9 billion just 2 years later. As he began to hobnob with the rich and famous, he became aware of the Lords of Brimstone, and he began forming a small handful of men he called the Shield of Abraham. They would combat members of the Lords. His goal was to eventually have a small army around the entire globe. He was dying of a slow-developing brain disease that was damaging his nervous system. He had found his replacement, a 15-year-old genius by the name of Royce Spurlock. Once he was falling into a state of incapacitation. He was going to give Royce the reins regardless of his age. Royce would carry on the efforts. He had only 4 groups of 2 right now. His best was a young black man named Rodney Meeks and a crazy Vietnam vet, Billy Buck. Billy Buck was a true assassin. He actually enjoyed killing and really liked killing members of the Lords. They were currently following Mary Lawrence and trying to learn of her connection to Selfridge Pharmaceuticals. Another of his group was the Partnership of Man, only known as Sir and his partner, a Middle Easterner by the name of Neve Singh. The 2 of them, also wealthy, were both experts in explosives and laying traps. He needed more, though, and was hoping for some younger folks to carry the torch. This Mary Lawrence or Ashley Torrance, who is she? Spaulding Knox's side vibrated and beeped. He pulled the device from the holder and read the number, a 317 number, Rodney Meeks. Chapter 12. Agnes Woodstone. The beautiful house on 6 acres was the place many dreamed about having. This one belonged to Helmut Schnell. Schnell, the CEO of Selfridge Pharmaceuticals, and key member of the Lords of Brimstone, was in the process of hosting a fundraiser for the Democratic candidate for the state of Indiana, Agnes Woodsrone. Schnell had the fundraiser catered by some folks from New York City. On the menu was lobster, crab, and a special fish from Europe, so Schnell said. Over 300 people attended the event and were piled into the spacious ballroom. Schnell was in a private meeting upstairs with Agnes Woodstone, the gubernatorial hopeful. "Agnes, I presume you are ready for your big day? You will win. Simply follow the money," Helmut said to her with certainty. "I just wish I didn't have to live in the closet. I hope for the day I can live openly with my girlfriend," Agnes said. "Do you have a lover?" Helmut asked. Agnes looked down. "I lost her. She became afraid of backlash from her family and went back to her husband. All is sad," Helmut said. "But do not labor. We have a young senator on payroll from Illinois. One day he will lead this country and will fundamentally change this country." "Oh, what is his name? Maybe I know him," Agnes asked. "I calls him Barry. He calls himself something different. It doesn't matter. I can assure you that same-sex marriage will become the norm. Transgenderism will be protected. We will start in the schools. It is going to change for the good. I am very excited about this, and you should be too," he said. "Go downstairs and continue to network. I will be down in just a few moments." Agnes Woodstone opened the door to leave, and was startled to see Ashley Torrance as she was getting ready to enter. "Hello, love," Ashley said with a quick kiss on the cheek of Agnes Woodstone. Agnes blushed and gave a slight moan. "Come in, Mary," Helmut said. "I told you not to call me that, Helmut. I can crush you, you know," Ashley said. "I am just teasing my love," Helmut said. "So how did the meeting with Raoul go?" Helmut said, speaking of the private meeting Ashley had in northern Indiana. "It was good. He wired you $250 million. That should make your generous $300 million gift to Agnes a little easier," Ashley said. "Very good," Helmut replied. "I do think we have a problem," Ashley said. Helmut frowned but didn't speak. "I saw Sally Joe Melbourne in the car with that Indian and Rodney Meeks." "I believe he is Asian," Helmut said. "Who gives a shit, Helmut? This could be a problem. They may torture her for answers," Ashley added. "Zay Lords will deal with it," Helmut said. "Come now, we need to make an announcement." The two of them came down the stairs and began to network for a few minutes before Helmut took his place in front of the overly large fireplace. Helmut began to speak to the crowd. "Welcome, everyone. I am so glad you could be here today to support our next governor of Indiana." The crowd erupted in applause. "We are looking for $1 million in a donation from each of you. I have secured a matching donation from our friend, Raul Fernandez." More applause at the mention of the Brazilian drug runner, who considers himself an investor. "MZ Woodstone, would you like to say a few words?" "Thank you, Helmut. I just want to thank all of you for coming today to help change Indiana forever. We need to make these hayseeds realize it is no longer 1950 and mighty Milan isn't going to win again. It is time for companies and technology to take control. Take their guns and get rid of those Bibles. We can do it with your help," Agnes said as the crowd again with thunderous applause. "Let's win for the Lords." The crowd was in a frenzy. Helmut stepped in to continue. "Please see Mr. Kyle Roth to give your donations." Helmut pointed and Kyle Roth waved. As the evening finally began to wind down, Helmut took Agnes by the hand and led her upstairs. They entered into a dark bedroom, and a small light came on and Agnes could see Ashley Torrance lying nude on the large bed. Agnes was immediately aroused at the beauty that was Ashley Torrance. Helmut unzipped the dress Agnes was wearing, and it slid to the ground, showing the more than ample braless breasts of Agnes and a white thong. She climbed into bed with Ashley, and they began a deep kiss. Ashley moaned. Oh, Helmut. Agnes looked up to see Helmut Schnell joining in as he slid into Ashley from behind. Chapter 13 Meeting in Aisle 5. Tommy Carter was at Walmart, as he was virtually every Sunday afternoon grabbing groceries, before an afternoon and evening of watching sports. Doesn't matter the season or who would be playing, most assuredly he would be watching the television. I really am jonesing for a box of honeycomb, Tommy said to himself. He turned and headed down the cereal aisle when he saw Stubby Swanson grabbing a box of grape nut cereal. Hey, Mr. Swanson, I really wanted to speak to you, Tommy called to him. Well, Coach Carter, how do you do? Why on earth would you want to talk to me? Stubby replied. Mr. Swanson, I just wanted to commend you for how much you are doing for the community staying open and trying to keep the drinkers off the road, Tommy said. Just a personal thing for me, Stubby said. Tommy smiled. Well, for whatever reason, it is a great thing. Me and a buddy dropped by the other night and had a great time. We each had a couple of beers, and we popped in and played some darts and pool. It was so cool. I am afraid I will have to shut her down at some point. It is a young man's game, staying open until 3 a.m., Stubby said. Oh no, Mr. Swanson, don't do that. You are saving lives and keeping drunk drivers off the road. Before you ever shut it down, let me know. I could be a partner and keep it going. I think it is such a good thing, Tommy said. Coach, you have no guarantees that you will be around here. I know the coaching game. We have seen a lot of young guys come and go, Stubby said. But you know, I will definitely keep it in mind. Are you in mind? Stubby said. Coach, I graduated in '38 from Winston. We had a great basketball team. Just over 50 years ago, we beat Logansport in the regional championship. Had a chance to beat Fort Wayne South in the semi-state, and they beat us by 3 points, 40-37. I will never forget it, and then those Southsiders won the state championship. Great memories, Stubby said, as he gazed off into space, seemingly reliving the glory days. Yes, Stubby, I saw your picture in the Hall of Champions at the school. Pretty sweet, Tommy added. I heard you were a real sharpshooter. You betcha. I could nail that elbow shot with the best of them. Come around the old picket fence and nail a shot. But boy howdy, my teammates were good ball players and good fellers too. You know, we just laid it all on the floor. Worked our tails off. I feel like I need to live for the Lord like that. Leave it all on the floor, Stubby said. No doubt, Stubby. Me too. I am a believer as well. Live like full throttle, Tommy said with a smile. Stubby laughed and rubbed his manly jaw. Say, you all got a new counselor there at the school, didn't ya? A Mary Lawrencey? You mean Ashley Torrance? Tommy asked. Stubby just nodded in an unbelieving way. We did, and I gotta be honest, Stubby. I don't have a good feeling about her. Something is just off about her. I certainly think I knew her in the late 30s, but doggone, she looks like she is 30 years old instead of alive in the 30s. Stubby said, raising his voice. You know, she says she won a medal in the Pan Am Games. I just wonder if that is true, Tommy said. Stubby responded, only one way to find out. Gonna need to do the research. Stubby, what do you say we meet at the library on Wednesday evening and do some of that research? Tommy said. You got it, Coach. Say 7 p.m.? Stubby asked. Without a doubt, sir, without a doubt, Tommy said. Chapter 14, Why Trust You? The black sedan turned off County Road 1100 near Fowlerton, Indiana, and down a long lane that led through a small, wooded area and pulled in front of a yellow-sided house with a dark metal roof. Billy Buck dragged Sally Joe out of the back seat and pinned her arms behind her back. Come on, don't be so rough, Sally Joe asked Billy Buck. It could be a lot worse. I could be dragging you because you have 2 broken legs, Billy Buck said with a giggle. Maybe I could remove some fingers so you can't handle that knife or Saturday night special you were prone to use. Billy Buck opened the door and led her into the house. Following closely behind was Reed Myers. Billy Buck didn't really like him and thought he was a weirdo, but he knew the Shield needed a person with his skill set. Reed Myers was a torture specialist and had the ability to get the truth from anyone at any time. Billy Buck shoved Sally Joe into a straight back chair and sat next to her. A figure entered from another room and sat down on a love seat on the other side of the room. Miss Sally Joe, I presume, he said, knowing exactly who she was. Yes, and you are? Sally Joe asked. Spaulding Knox, he said with a death stare. Billy Buck got a little nervous. Billy Buck knew how dangerous Sally Joe could be, and he hadn't even searched her for weapons. Miss Sally Joe, your legend precedes you. I hope you understand that you are here for a preliminary meeting. Your ability to assassinate individuals is widely known, but as a precaution, Mr. Buck will sit beside you. Mr. Buck, can you show Miss Sally how quick you can be? Spaulding said with a nod. In the blink of an eye, Billy Buck had a 6-inch knife from his belt and stabbed the arm of the chair between Sally's thumb and pointer finger. She gasped. It could have been in the center of your hand. If need be, it will be your side, and I will watch your entrails spill to the ground. As all this was taking place, Reed Myers had placed a toolbox on a stool and had walked toward Sally Joe and Billy Buck. I think this would be more effective if our target was nude, Reed said with a greasy smile. Please, Mr. Myers, for now she is a guest, Spaulding said as Billy Buck reacted with disgust. So, you say that the Lords of Brimstone, your friends, have somehow betrayed you? Sally Joe grimaced and tears filled her eyes. They have my daughter. Sally Joe screeched as pliers pinched the very tip of her right middle finger and blood began to trickle. Reed Myers smiled at her pain. Why? That doesn't make any sense at all. Why would they do that? Spaulding asked. Why betray you? You are a good soldier. I don't know, Sally Joe replied. F-U-C-K. She screamed as Reed Myers squeezed just a millimeter onto that middle fingernail. That fucking hurts, you dick, she said as Reed Myers almost laughed. She is lying, Reed said. She knows. It is in her eyes. Would you like Mr. Myers to go ahead and place the pliers all the way to the first knuckle? I know he would enjoy that, Spaulding said as he crossed his legs left over right. Nothing I would like better, Reed said. He moved the pliers to that first knuckle and gently pinched. Damn it, okay. I didn't tell them they could. A member of the Lords made the comment that she was really pretty. We were drinking, and he asked if she had begun puberty. I said yes. It was just in conversation. I wasn't giving an okay for anything. It was just a comment. A passing comment, she said. Reed Myers looked at Spaulding and nodded in the affirmative. Inappropriate for sure, Spaulding said. Why would you ever discuss that? It was just a conversation. He was a friend. Sally Joe raised her voice. Then he said, old enough to bleed, old enough to breed. They took her to one of their parties. An orgy. I know what happens at those parties. And how would you know? Spaulding asked. I have heard conversation, she said, and suddenly she screamed. Reed Myers crushed the first knuckle on the middle finger. She is clearly lying, Reed Myers said. No, I am not, Sally Joe said. Reed Myers responded by moving the pliers to the second knuckle. No, please. Okay, because I have been to them before. I have been at those parties. I have participated. With young girls? Spaulding asked. She paused and Reed Myers slowly pinched down on the next knuckle. Sally Joe hung her head. Yes. So when it is someone else's daughter, it is okay, Spaulding said, not expecting a response. Sally Joe looked at her feet, and tears poured from her eyes. "What do you expect us to do? What is done is done. I suggest you discuss this matter with God. Only He can forgive," he said. "Help me get her back, please," Sally Joe said. "I can show you where some of the parties take place, please," Sally Joe pleaded. "I will join the shield. I will help you kill these motherfuckers. Not sure I would want you to be on our team," Spaulding said as he looked at Reed, who nodded another yes. "Billy Buck? What do you think?" "I think she needs to prove it," Billy Buck said. Spaulding simply nodded. Billy Buck grabbed her up from the chair. "What? Where are we going?" Sally said. Billy Buck continued to drag her to the back of the house and shoved her into a back room. He padlocked the door shut. "Let me go, help!" she yelled as she banged on the door. "Soon," is all Billy Buck said. Chapter 15 Chirp. Chirp. Shane Frost and Barbie Collins were amazed to be sitting in a 1995 Bentley Continental convertible. Behind the wheel was Dr. Ashley Torrance. "You have a car phone?" Barbie asked. "I have only seen those on television and in movies." "Well, it came with the car," Ashley said. "I believe that one day, and one day soon, everyone will have a mobile device so they can take a form of communication everywhere. We already have beepers," Shane said. "No, honey, not like a beeper. An actual mobile device," Ashley said. "Why would you need a mobile device?" Shane said in a matter-of-fact manner. "I think it would be awesome. I have a Princess phone in my bedroom, and I couldn't live without it," Barbie said. Shane scoffed. "Think about it. In a time of need or in a catastrophe, you have a phone for a call," Ashley said. "I suppose," Shane said. "I for one think it is a brilliant idea," Barbie said as she shifted her ponytail. The Bentley slow rolled to a stop and into a reserved parking spot near the admission center at Ball State. "Welcome to Ball U," Ashley said as she winked at Shane. Talisa Swan welcomed them into her office. "Dr. Torrance, I understand you are friends with Dr. Jolene Stearns in the business department," she said to Ashley as the two teenagers took seats on a couch and Shane was thumbing some literature on Ball State that they had been handed in the waiting room. Barbie sat the information aside and crossed her legs with her right leg nervously kicking. "Yes, ma'am. We are sorority sisters." "Siggy P," Ashley said. The two women made small talk for nearly 5 minutes before Talisa Swan focused on the students. "Shane, what is your intended major?" she asked. "Something to do with business," he replied. Talisa smiled big. "Well, that works out for you," she said as she glanced at Ashley Torrance. "And you, Barbie?" "I'm not sure. I was thinking about something in pediatric nursing or maybe designing. Just not sure. I may start in general studies and figure it out," Barbie replied as Shane looked at her long silky legs. "That can be a good idea," Talisa said. "I am going to bring in a graduate student to take you two on a tour. His name is Eric Kowalski. He played football here and knows BSU as well as anyone." The three of them went back to the waiting room, and in just a couple of minutes a young man entered wearing Docker shorts and a red and white polo shirt emblazoned with a cardinal. He was very fit, and his muscles were wildly apparent. Barbie smiled big when she saw him. Ashley Torrance looked him up and down, and Shane rolled his eyes. "Hello, I am Eric Kowalski, and we have a golf cart outside to take us around campus." As they were walking, Eric spoke to Shane. "So I understand that you want to compete in swimming here at Ball?" "I am hoping," Shane replied. "Don't let him fool you. He is an all-state swimmer and potential state champ," Ashley said. Eric gave Shane a quick 5. "That is so cool. I played at Lafayette Jeff, and we almost won state. I started my last 2 years here at linebacker. This is really a great school. I am sure they would take a state champ in any sports program here. Shane nodded. And you? Are you in sports? Eric said, directed at Barbie. I played volleyball, and I am a cheerleader. I might try cheering here, but mainly I am here for the school experience, she replied. Oh, cool, Eric said. The tour took around an hour and finished at the swimming facility. Coach Mitchell Everly will meet you in his office, Eric said. Barbie, I can take you to the student center while they meet with the coach if you would like. Of course, Barbie said. I would love that. Mom gave me $50 for sweatshirts. Mitchell Everly gave Ashley Torrance a hug when she entered the office. Shane thinks he saw him kiss her cheek. Shane Frost, he said to Shane as he stuck out his hand. I hear I have Mark Spitz in the mist? Sir, that would be amazing. Not sure I am that good yet, Shane said with a smile. I like that attitude, not yet. I have been looking at your times. If you come here and work, I can guarantee you that I will get you to all-conference level, and if you truly do your work, all-American, Mitchell said. The conversation took many different directions, and Ashley and Mitchell exchanged stories of their careers. Occasionally, Mitchell would focus on Shane. Shane, I am going to say, we want you here. Your grades are good, your times are exceptional, and your SATs work. I can give you a 50% scholarship, and with your financial aid, due to your mother's passing, the rest will be paid for. In essence, it is a full ride. I can pop up to Winston, and we can have a signing. How does that sound? Sir, that would be great, Shane said. You can begin by calling me Coach, Mitchell said. Yes, sir, Coach, Shane said. Mitchell smiled, and so did Ashley. Shane, can you give me and Ash a couple of moments? You can wait outside. Shouldn't take long. Shane nodded and left the office and looked around in the facility. He saw some fine co-eds walking around in swimsuits as they were getting ready for practice. What do you think? Is he a potential fit? Mitchell asked. I am grooming him. He has no mother, as you know. His father is busy raising a family. He is a prime target. I am making a play tonight when we get home, Ashley said. Mitchell nodded and spoke. By the way, have you heard from Sally Joe? She hasn't been heard from in a few days. Really? Ashley said. I will see what I can find out. Mitchell nodded. Chapter 16, 1951? Some bitch, Tommy, I found her, Stubby said as he scrolled through microfiche. You found Dr. Torrance? Tommy Carter asked. Well, it sure shouldn't look like her, but the name is Carolyn Morrance, Stubby said. Then Carolyn Merritt or whatever. That can't be here, Tommy replied. Here, look for yourself, Stubby said, and he rolled his chair out of the way, and Tommy Carter slid in his place. Wow, Stubby. I mean, it is a doppelganger. I mean, the only thing is the name is wrong, Tommy said. Stubby slid close to Tommy. No, it isn't. The name isn't the only thing. Check the date. Tommy Carter scrolled to the top of the New York Times sports page. Stubby, what the world? 1951? That can't be her. Oh, I am well aware of the problem here. That is over 45 years ago, but look at this. Stubby removed the micro he was viewing and rolled in another one. This is the Winston Chronicle from July 1968. He showed Tommy a terrible car crash. This is the wreck that killed Floyd, and Gary, the reason I keep pork and beans open to try and eliminate drunk driving. Sure, Stubby, I get it, but... Tommy was speaking. SHHHH. Stubby quieted Tommy, and then zoomed in on the driver of the other car. Mary Lawrence, age 37. Another doppelganger? Tommy? Some bitch, Stubby, some bitch, Tommy uttered. That is Ashley Torrance. Right, Tommy, but how? She was 23 in 1951 when she won a medal in the Pan Am Games, Then she was 27 in 1968, and now was 30 in 1997. Tommy just stared at the picture. On the other side of town, Ashley Torrance was turning into her driveway, and 50 yards later was at a log cabin just on the outskirts of Winston. "This is my abode," she said. "Wow," Barbie said. "This is beautiful. Yeah, my aunt and uncle actually own this, and they have a retirement home in Florida. They let me rent this during the school year," Ashley replied. "I really need to go home. Can I use your phone to call my mother to get me?" Barbie asked. "Oh, please, I will take you home. It is only 5 minutes away." "You live in Stonecrest, don't you?" Ashley said. "I do," Barbie replied. "Shane, there is a pool in the back, if you want to stay a bit and talk about this scholarship. Unless you need to go home," Ashley said. "Yeah, that would be great. I am not sure I understood it all," Shane said. Barbie and Ashley left out the front door. Shane walked around through the back porch door and walked out to the backyard pool and hot tub. There was a changing room. Shane went in and put on his bathing suit. He had one pack for the trip, thinking he might have to swim for the coach. He jumped into the pool and made a few laps and was building speed when he heard a voice. "Enjoying yourself?" It was Dr. Torrance. "Hey, Dr. Torrance," Shane said. "Come join me in the hot tub. Let's talk about today," she said, and Shane left the pool and slipped into the hot tub. A few seconds later, Ashley Torrance emerged from the changing room in a half-size too small bikini. Shane couldn't help but be aroused. She slid down into the hot tub. "So basically, you are going to get a full ride. 50% will be from athletics, and then they will stack your academics to cover the other 50%. Honestly, if you can get straight A's on your report card, I think you can increase your academic monies and actually have money for your personal life. Damn it, this bikini is just too tight," she said as she unhooked the bikini top and tossed it aside. Her bosom floated in the jets. Shane diverted his eyes. "It is okay, Shane. It is just boobs." Shane could feel himself grow. "This is great news, Shane," she said as she moved closer to him. "Shane, your suit seems to be shrinking, or is something growing?" she said as her hand settled on his 18-year-old manhood. "Let's celebrate." Shane laid back and let it happen. Chapter 17. Who is Agnes Woodstone? Billy Buck walked down the hall of the hidden house. He unlocked the padlock to the back bedroom and opened the door. Sally Joe wiggled around in the bed, and then opened her eyes and grunted. "Is it dinner? Doesn't seem like it has been that long since the awesome bologna sandwich, or as some of these hillbillies call it, bologna." Billy Buck had to chuckle. "Bologna sandwich. I have a few questions for you. Where is your goon? Last time you had a few questions, I ended up with a split finger and damn near broken knuckles." "Not sure if I like your questions," she replied. "I don't need to call in Creepy Reed, if you simply agree to answer some questions truthfully," Billy said. "I haven't tried to escape. I know I am alone most of the time," Sally Joe said. "Actually, you aren't, but we can agree to disagree. Just because there isn't anyone in the house doesn't mean you are alone. There are always people around here. But we digress. Come on out to the living room and we can chat. If you try some shit, I will kill you," Billy said as if it were a fact. "Oh, Billy, why the dramatics? I am here of my own accord," Sally Joe said. "I am unarmed and your abilities precede your appearances. I know the way you can remove intestines and snap necks." Billy Buck laughed. "Aw, I appreciate the kind words." Sally Joe took a seat in a love seat where she was questioned a few nights before, and Billy Buck sat down across the room and removed a .22 caliber pistol and his favorite knife, the one he calls the fish gutter, and sat both down on a coffee table. He tilted his head and stared at Sally Joe. Who is Agnes Woodstone? Oh, Billy, she is running for governor. Don't you read the newspapers or watch TV or maybe even listen to the radio? Sally Joe said with a smirk in her voice. Disgusted and disgruntled with the answer, Billy Buck took a big sigh. Sally Joe, honestly, don't be a jackass. We see her with members of the Lords of Brimstone. I am asking you if she is a member of the Lords of Brimstone. She is definitely in their good graces. No, Sally Joe answered. She is just doing their bidding. They give her money to push forward the cause. I am sure she would like to be, but she hasn't proven to be trustworthy. You know that you have to be careful with politicians. Ultimately, I would say that she is owned by the Lords, but not a member. Have you seen her at your fuck parties? You know abuse of kids, etc., Billy Buck asked. No, she hasn't been. They just promised her things. She is a lesbian. I don't know that she is a pedophile, Sally Joe answered. Are you sure? Billy Buck said, as he nonchalantly picked up his knife and began to nervously play with it. He was rubbing it on his chin and tapping it on his boots. Billy, anyone can be a pedo if given the opportunity. Think about it. A 40-year-old woman gets a chance for the hard dick of a 16-year-old. I am sure it could be fun, Sally Joe said as if she was making eggs. And you know you would bang a 16-year-old horny cheerleader. Billy stabbed the knife in the stool. I definitely would not. What if you didn't know she was 16? What if you thought she was 20 and acted like it, and you saw her in a bar? Please, people are capable of a lot of things, Sally Joe said. Billy was clearly annoyed. You are playing games with scenarios. You damn well know that the Lord seek 10 to 12-year-olds. The scenarios you are presenting are not what they are, so quit playing your shitty games. So as of now, Agnes Woodstone is a stooge for the Lords and maybe a wannabe. I would agree with that assessment, Sally Joe said. She is kind and is great at oral. Sally Joe smiles wryly. Again, Billy was caught between annoyed, aroused, and disgusted. He grabbed the stool and moved to within a foot or two of Sally Joe. These were just the preliminary questions for Billy Buck. What he really wanted to discuss was Ashley Torrance. He had received a call from the father of his longtime friend Gabe Swanson. They had been involved in some joint training in guerrilla warfare a few years ago. Stubby Swanson had spoken to him for more than an hour discussing Ashley Torrance, or Mary Lawrence, or whatever her name is. Some bitch, Stubby said. It is like she is a monster or vampire or something. I know what I see. Billy B and some bitch. It's all messed up. Let's discuss someone else, Dr. Ashley Torrance, Billy said to Sally Joe. She went silent. Billy waited. Sally Joe looked down and remained silent. Billy Buck took the knife and forced her face upwards to his. She stared at him. She is a bitch. More please, Billy Buck said. She is the one who put in for an order of a young girl, and lo and behold it is my daughter. Sally Joe, as tears filled her eyes. Put in an order? What do you mean? Billy asked. Like she was ordering a cheeseburger with pickles. She wanted a young girl with strawberry blonde hair and barely into puberty. They chose my daughter. She is pure evil, Sally Joe said. Oh, really, with all the Lords of Brimstone doing shit like this? She is pure evil? Billy said. You don't understand. There is something different about her. I can't put my finger on it. It is like she isn't human, Sally Joe said. Like a vampire or monster? Billy asked. Oh, please, are you kidding me? There aren't monsters or vampires, Sally Joe said. But she is a monster. The kind that is produced by pure evil and power. Billy Buck nodded. Why on earth would you ever be a part of these people? You are gorgeous, you are smart. Why? Sally Joe looked down at her bare feet. I don't know. Power. Money. Sex. Drugs, good ones. Access to meds that other people aren't allowed to because of a corrupt government. And you come to us? Billy Buck said. For help, yes. To join you, no. Sally Joe replied. And you know where we can find this Ashley Torrance? Billy Buck asked. Sally Joe nodded in the affirmative. Indeed, Billy said. Chapter 18, The Campaign Trail. Agnes Woodstone, Helmut Schnell, Eric Graves, Rose Nunn, and Ashley Torrance sat around the solid oak dinner table discussing the latest polling numbers for Agnes' gubernatorial candidacy. They were inside the cabin being occupied by Ashley Torrance. The latest polls see us up by 4 points. Not a large lead, but for a Democrat in Indiana, it is impressive. People are growing tired of Chuck Allen's broken promises and empty words. The poll shows that the younger set are taking a liking to you, Agnes. They seem to enjoy the relationship you hold with Ashley. Of course, there are whispers of lesbianism, and the conservatives and old hayseeds are disgusted. That is okay. If we can get the college voters out on election day, I think we win, Eric Graves said. Rose Nunn spoke up. The young males are also polling in our favor. Exit polls at colleges that you have appeared at show that young males find Ashley, and I quote, foxy and hot. I believe that is quite good. The moral to the story, more cleavage and shorter skirts for both of you. The 25 to 34 male group sees Agnes as the tomboy neighbor girl, and that is good too. You should lean into that. Don't be afraid to wear a Colts cap or the Pacers. These are very good things, Helmut Schnell said in his German accent. We shall overcome. Bottom line is to keep doing what we are doing, Agnes said as she took a bite of chips and dip. I can't believe we might win this thing. Oh, believe it, Agnes, Eric said. We haven't spent over $50 million to lose. Agreed. We will make no mistakes down the stretch, Elmer said. Are you still fucking the young kid? He said, directing it at Ashley. A young hard boy is most satisfying, she answered with a smile. Any Vaughn talk? Helmut said. Are you kidding me and lose this? Ashley said, as she raised her shirt and exposed her breasts. Good point, Eric said. Besides, he rides a motorcycle, and if things get too wonky, we can arrange an accident. If there isn't anything else to talk about, let's all hope in the hot tub, Ashley said. By the time Ashley was at the hot tub, she was completely nude. She slid in and Agnes Woodstone was just as nude. Agnes slipped onto Ashley's lap and had her tongue in Ashley's mouth. It was full-fledged orgy for the hour. Everyone was gone but Ashley and Agnes. They had taken their sex to the master bedroom and continued for another 45 minutes before Agnes needed a drink. I will be right back. Don't move, Agnes said as she walked to the kitchen. Agnes was looking for another shot of rum to add to the orange juice. She walked into the large pantry, which held a large freezer unit. Being naturally nosy, she opened the lid and looked inside. Agnes dropped the rum bottle and flew back into the wall. What the fuck? She approached the freezer slowly and opened the lid slowly and looked inside, and she had seen what she thought she saw. Inside the freezer were two bodies. At least she thought it was two. There were pieces, but definitely two heads. You found my aunt and uncle, I see, Ashley said with a laugh. They were kind enough to let me use the place. What in the hell? Agnes said. It's okay, they aren't talking, Ashley said with another giggle. But what if people? Agnes said as Ashley interrupted. Relax. It is under control. Come back to bed. I will clean the rum up later, Ashley said as she slid her middle finger inside herself and rubbed it on Agnes' lips and kissed her deeply. Standing outside the window and squinting to see what he could see was a figure. A dark figure with two black braided ponytails. Well, I'll be damned. She was telling the truth, Billy Buck said. Chapter 19, Confronting Shane. It was a Sunday morning, and Thurman Frost was making a stack of French toast for him and his son Shane. Shane called it eggy bread as a child. It has been that way in the family ever since. Shane finished his shower and walked into the kitchen in his shorts and a T-shirt. Shane grabbed a nice crispy piece of bacon and ate the whole thing in a single bite. "Yes, eggy bread," Shane said. "A Frost staple." "Thanks, Dad." "Of course, son. How are things going? We haven't had a chance to catch up." You have a girlfriend, son?" Thurman asked. Shane immediately hesitated. His father never asked about girls. Maybe it is just a question, but Shane had been a little paranoid since he and Ashley Torrance began their torrid affair. Even though they were taking great precautions and only meeting late at night and only at Ashley's cabin, there was still that inch of fear that was in his mind. "I really don't have time for a girl, Dad," he said. Then silently he thought to himself, "But I do have time for a woman," and a smile came across his face. "I see that little smirk. Remember, you got your scholarship in your back pocket, and you don't need a female in your front pockets," Thurman said with a little chuckle. Shane sat down at the table, and Thurman sat down a stack of 4 French toasts and a mess of bacon in front of him. Thurman grabbed 2 of his own and plenty of bacon and took a seat across from Shane. "Have you had a chance to look at those numbers?" Thurman asked. "I did. Things are looking really good for you this year. I think you are going to see a significant gain over last year," Shane answered. "Well, I did have those 3 transmissionary bills. I am sure that helped," Thurman said. The 2 of them continued to make small talk as they gobbled down their breakfast. "I need to get dressed for church," Shane said as he stood and took his dishes to the sink. "Son, before you get dressed, I have a question for you," Thurman said. "Sure, Dad, what's that?" Shane said. "You know Stubby Swanson?" Thurman asked. "Of course. I think everyone in the county knows Stubby," Shane said as he washed the syrup off the plate and sat it down in the sink. "You know it is odd. He is pretty sure he saw your bike turning out of the driveway of that counselor's cabin. What is her name?" "Ashley Lawrence?" Thurman asked, knowing what her real name is. "I had to go over there and go over my scholarship after school one day," Shane said as his anxiety was beginning to rise. "Why couldn't you get that done at school? Don't we have that signing date planned?" Thurman pried. "Well, she has the fancy fax machine at her place, and they sent a fax to her house," Shane said as he hurriedly tried to get out of the kitchen. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, Shane thought, and he was trying to get out of there. "Hold on, son. You see, it was like 5 in the morning. Stubby was on his way home from the pub," Thurman said. "He must have seen someone else," Shane said, knowing now he was caught. "Son, you and I rebuilt that bike. There isn't another one like it anywhere near here, and maybe anywhere, ever," Thurman said. Shane sat down and hung his head. "Shane, I get it, I do. She is a fine-looking woman, and I am sure she is everything a young man could love. But, son, this is bad. Something isn't right about her. She is rich and hobnobs with some really powerful people. She is using you for your youth, and who knows what. You need to end whatever is going on," Thurman said. Shane nodded. "I know. Dad, I am glad you know. This secret was eating me alive. I know it is wrong, and I know I need to end it. It's just—" Thurman patted Shane on the hand. "Son, I will take care of it. It is what I should do." Again Shane nodded. "Let's do this together, Dad. Live and die, right, Dad?" Shane said as he stood and hugged his father. "I love you so much, Dad." Thurman felt a little tear in the corner of eye. "You are my everything, son. I will do absolutely what I have to in order to protect you." "I know," Shane said. "Let's go to church." This time Thurman nodded. Chapter 20, A Plan Executed Too Late. "So we got it. We are on the same page, right? Billy Buck said. Yes, but are you sure about her? Bucky Meeks asked Billy. Billy stared directly at Sally Joe and raised his eyebrows. Yes, I have it. Why such concern for me? She said. Oh, I don't know. The fact you might lead us into an ambush. Maybe shoot us in the back, Bucky said. How am I going to shoot, stab, or spit on your back when I am going first? I get it. Duly noted you don't trust me, Sally Joe said. I don't know where we are noting it, but if I see something going sideways, I will kill you, Billy Buck said without even batting an eye. You got it? Sally Joe nodded. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, the red Dodge Ram truck came to a rolling stop outside of the cabin of Ashley Torrance. Are you ready, son? Thurman Frust asked Shane. He nodded and opened the side door and jumped out of the truck. Thurman quickly followed suit, and the two of them walked to the front door. The door was open, and Shane opened the screen door and walked straight into the house. Son, you don't even knock? Asked Thurman. No, Shane said with almost a frown, knowing he had disappointed his father. Thurman diverted his eyes to the ground, as he knew his son was in a situation too deep. Sage? Shane yelled out throughout the house, as he walked toward the sliding door of the porch. He opened it and looked outside and saw Ashley Torrance sunning herself by the pool. Oh my, Shane, I am so glad you are here. I am so wet. I have been thinking of you and thought I was going to have to flick one out, Ashley said slash. Shane was immediately embarrassed. Any other time, he would be ready for an evening of sex, but today his dad was following, and this would not be a meeting of carnal desires. Ashley looked past Shane and saw Thurman Frost walk through the door and stand just behind Shane. He was giving Shane a chance to deal with this on his own. Oh, a bonus. A threesome with Pops? I like it, she said. Dr. Torrance, that is highly inappropriate to say to a young person, Thurman said. Young person? You old bag of bones, he is a man, and believe me, I would know, she said. So why are you here? She said with emphasis on the back end of her words. We can't, can't, Shane said, stuttering. What? Fuck? Fornicate? Have mad, passionate sex? Sweaty love-making? What are you trying to say? Shane? Ashley said, mocking Shane Frust. I guess all of that. I appreciate all your help, but you know this is wrong, Shane said. Ashley stood for the first time. Her curves and attractiveness were in full display. You know, with one call, and the scholarship is gone like that, she said as she snapped her fingers. Now, Dr. Torrance, that isn't necessary. You are gorgeous and smart and have a lot going. You don't need my son. We won't say anything to anyone. Just let this go, Thurman said. Shut up, old man, Ashley said with force. It sounded like an inhuman screech. Sit down, she said to Thurman, and as if she had some secret force. Thurman stumbled backwards and fell against some patio furniture and crashed into the concrete. Now, it is just the two of us, Ashley said as she approached Shane. He turned and kneeled by his father. Thurman seemed to be gasping for air. What did you do? Shane said. Do? I didn't do anything. He is old and excited, probably having heart palpitations. He'll be fine, you know, if I want him to be fine, she said with a snarl. Why him? He is just my father trying to help his son, Shane said. We don't need him, she said, and again, it was as if there were several voices at once. Shane could feel fear in his heart. We may not need him, but I need him. You fuck me, and I let him live, she said. Shane's anxiety turned into anger. He stood, and for the first time, he saw Ashley for what she was. She didn't love him. She didn't care about him. She was using him. grooming him for her web of sex parties, and taking advantage of a young inexperienced person. He walked toward her with rage. "Stop it! Just stop it!" he yelled. "Don't you raise your voice at me, you arrogant little prick," she said. Without thinking, he reached and grabbed Ashley by the arms. "Why are you doing this?" Shane begged. "Because I can," Ashley said, as her eyes grew red and her body became green and slimy. She seemed to grow, and without thought her mouth opened and her forked tongue flew into the neck of Shane Frost. Shane Frost reeled backwards and grabbed his neck as blood sprang from between his fingers. Thurman Frost began to open his eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing with his eyes. It appeared that Ashley Torrance dislocated her jaws and began to ingest Shane's body. The lump of Shane's body began to travel through her body. Thurman grabbed the wicker chair and tried to pull himself up to his knees. As he rose to stand, he realized that Ashley, or whatever she is, must be at least 9 feet tall. "What am I seeing?" Thurman whispered. He is almost sure that this monster winked at him as the rest of Shane was devoured. The monster that was Ashley Torrance pounced on top of Thurman Frost. "Why couldn't you leave well enough alone?" The sound of at least 20 voices rang out into the evening. Her head snapped and turned as if it heard something. The jeep driven by Bucky Meeks slowed down to a stop. Bucky, Billy and Sally Joe each slid out without opening a door. Billy held his right pointer finger to his lips as if to shush them. They already knew. Billy pointed at Sally Joe to go to the front door. He signaled that he and Bucky were going to circle to the back. Sally Joe walked in double-time manner to the front door, as Bucky and Billy were much more deliberate in their movement. "See what you have done," Ashley said, as she dug her hands into the chest cavity of Thurman Munson, and with just a flick, she tossed the broken and bleeding body of Thurman Frost into the woods, and it crunched into an evergreen tree where it speared into a limb. Billy Buck snapped his head as he heard something hurtling into the night. "What in the absolute hell was that?" he muttered under his breath. Ashley Torrance quickly transformed back into her school counselor body. As she walked through the house, her body transformed again, this time into a small, chubby Mexican woman. She had on an apron as if she was a housemaid. Sally Joe knocked on the door. She could see the older woman approaching. Sally Joe called out, "Is Dr. Torrance here?" "No," she said with a thick accent. "Me no say English." "Sorry." Sally Joe didn't believe her. She leaned one way and the other trying to see around the older lady. "You mind if I look around?" Sally Joe said as she pushed her way into the house. "No, no, no. You no come inside," the lady said. Billy Buck slipped the patio door open and quietly entered. A moment later Bucky Meeks followed suit, both of them with military-grade rifles locked and loaded. Ashley Torrance pushed back on Sally Joe, but in her current state, Sally Joe was too big. Behind Sally Joe, the older woman walked outside. As she began walking to the woods, Ashley Torrance began to rehabit her own body. Chapter 21, Ashtoreth. Tommy Carter sat in a study room at the Winston City Library waiting on Stubby Swanson. Tommy had been doing some studying and couldn't wait to give him the results and his theories that coincide with his learnings. Initially, Tommy had thought of going into the ministry before turning to teaching, and to use the school as his ministry. The door opened and Stubby Swanson stepped inside the room. "I got us a study room so we can freely speak yet have privacy," Tommy said. "Okay. We are undergoing some secret shenanigans," Stubby said with a big smile. "Something tells me that you have raised a few shenanigans in your past," Tommy said, and Stubby responded with a toothy grin. "The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? Wait, we eating elephants? If it is elephant ears, count me in right now," Stubby said. "It is a figure of speech, Stubby," Tommy said. "I know that, Tommy. I may have gotten a lot of DS in school, But the D wasn't for dummy. It is for damn lazy, Stubby said. Okay. I have been digging into some Old Testament teachings and cross-checking it with Jewish and some satanic teachings. I have found that as Moses went up Mount Sinai, one of the deities that the Israelites worshipped was called Ashtoreth, Tommy said. Astronaut? Stubby said, half kidding. Ashtoreth. She is a female deity that controls carnal urges, sexual perversion, and hedonism, Tommy told Stubby. Stubby raised his eyebrows. And? So here's the thing. Ashtoreth became the female deity associated with all female deities. If it was familial disunity, then it was Ashtoreth. If a female was deranged, a criminal, a harlot, then she was Ashtoreth, Tommy said. I don't get what you are saying. Why are you telling me this? Stubby said. We have been looking into Ashley Torrance, Tommy said, and was interrupted. Wait, Ashley Torrance, Stubby said. Follow me, hear me out. You say that Ashley Torrance is really married Lawrence, yet the timeline doesn't match, correct? We saw what looked like her in a Pan Am Games picture, yet the timeline doesn't match. I am telling you now, Stubby, something isn't right about her. I am 99% sure she is an entity, and not just a female, Tommy said. So you think Ashley Torrance is this Ashtoreth? Some bitch, Tommy, that is crazy, Stubby said as he sat up in his chair. Just think if creepy Ashley Torrance has allowed an entity, or let's say deity, into her body either by choice or by force, she could be Ashtoreth. People kept seeing this deity. Jews, Christians, or satanic worshippers all see her. What if in the least, Ashley Torrance is a demon or is controlled by a demon? Tommy said. She almost gave me a heart attack just by looking at me, Stubby said. Just by looking at you. Have you told anybody this? Are you sure? Tommy said. Who was I going to tell? They would think I am a loon. But now, maybe you are right. Maybe she is a demon. Maybe she is this Ashtoreth? Stubby said. Tommy laughed. Ashtoreth? Oh no, Stubby said. What is wrong? Tommy asked. Ashley Torrance is having an affair with Shane Frost. It makes sense now. If she is this thing, Shane is in big trouble, Stubby said. Tommy slumped down in his chair, as if the weight of the world suddenly fell on him. Chapter 22 Death of a Politician. Billy Buck, Rodney Meeks, and Sally Joe began a slow search of the cabin inhabited by Ashley Torrance. The slow and tedious searching of the cabin was resulting in nothing. Rodney pushed open the patio door and stepped out onto the deck where the pool and hot tub were located. He walked slowly, and then noticed a dark puddle near the propane grill. Bending down, he dipped his forefinger into the puddle and rubbed it between said finger and thumb. It was definitely blood. Billy Buck was moving throughout the main living area. There were lots of pictures, and strangely none of them included Ashley Torrance. Rodney stepped back into the house. Hey, Billy, out here, he called. Billy Buck stepped into the same steps that Rodney had moved earlier, and Rodney showed him the coagulating pool of dark liquid. Well, something happened, and we are definitely too late. Rodney snapped his neck around. Where is Sally Joe? Both men then moved cautiously, but with purpose, back into the house. They both stopped quickly as Sally Joe stepped from the pantry. You are going to want to see this, Sally Joe said as she nodded toward the pantry. She led the two men to the box freezer and lifted the door. Inside were the frozen cut-up bodies of two people. I believe we just found Mr. and Mrs. Fugate, Billy Buck said. What made you look in there? Sally Joe paused and then spoke. I had heard rumors. Bucky lowered his rifle and then spoke. And you didn't think you needed to tell us? I am here, and I am showing you, she responded with snarkiness. I am going to call this in, Billy Buck said, and then we need to get out of here. Billy Buck walked to the kitchen phone, grabbed the receiver and dialed 888-777-1289. There were a series of buzzes and beeps, and then a female voice. "Enter your classification." Billy Buck then added 2266. Rodney and Sally Joe were standing behind Billy Buck and could hear his words. "Yes. 2 bodies at Recon Building. Yes, yes. On the way," he said. "We got to go. A delivery was made to the northwest of Indianapolis." Billy told Sally Joe and Rodney. "What do you mean by delivery?" Sally Joe asked. "We think it is your daughter," Billy Buck said. The 3 of them hustled back to the vehicle and jumped in quickly. Rodney was behind the wheel. "Head to the northwest side of Indy. Looking for an apartment complex called Average States. I am sure they are anything but average. They are owned by Sethridge Pharmaceuticals. It is a bit of a seedy area, so sex trafficking and drug trafficking are overlooked," Billy said. "And you think my daughter is there?" Sally Joe said. "We definitely think it is a strong possibility," Billy said. The drive to the apartment complex was made mostly in silence. Billy Buck went over the plan and with reservation gave his switchblade to Sally Joe. "We do not know exactly what we are walking into here. I am going to trust you, Sally Joe. This is about freeing your daughter." "Do as you need," Billy Buck said. They arrived and Rodney parked the vehicle in an area as dark as possible. "We all know what we are doing, right?" Billy Buck said, "Be careful." The apartment in question was 2D. Billy Buck and Sally Joe went first, and Rodney Meeks trailed. Billy Buck and Sally Joe stood by the door. Billy Buck attached an apparatus to the door handle, and with a silent count of 3, a small electric puff, and the door snapped open. Billy Buck pushed it wide open. Agnes Woodstone stood by a bed, with a lifeless young child laying in the bed. It was Sally Joe's daughter. "Sally Joe, I am so sorry. We were just partying. Helmet gave me some pills to move the party along," Agnes said, as she was clearly high. Sally Joe lunged toward Agnes, and before anyone else could say or do anything, she had Billy's switchblade open, and with 4 quick jabs and twists, Agnes stumbled backwards into a wall and off balance fell into a side table and split her head wide open. She was dead before bouncing off the rug. The door flew open again, and standing there was Helmut Schnell and an armed man. "Kill them all!" Helmut screamed. Rodney dove behind the bed, knocking Sally Joe to the ground. Billy Buck spun and looked toward the door as a shot rang out through the room. Billy Buck's eyes widened as he made eye contact with Rodney. "What the futches?" Billy said, gasping for air as he fell to his knees, grabbing his throat. The bullet had ripped straight through his throat. He fell to his knees, and in another grunt face first to the ground. Rodney Meeks fired off 3 quick rounds. 2 bullets hit the door facing, and the third found the shoulder of the gunman. "Get me the fuck out of here," Helmut said as he turned and ran toward the SUV. The gunman followed suit. In a flash, they were gone. "We gotta go," Rodney said to Sally Joe as he lifted her onto her feet. Sally Joe screamed, "I'm not leaving her." Quickly, Rodney scooped the small dead girl into his arms, and with his broad shoulders shoved Sally Joe forward. "Go now." "You drive." Sally Joe broke momentarily from her stupor and ran to the vehicle in which she, Billy Buck, and Rodney Meeks had arrived in. Only now, Billy Buck lay dead in that seedy apartment, and now Rodney carried her dead daughter. Sally Joe fired the engine. Rodney opened the door and placed the dead body in the back seat and sat beside her. "Now drive slowly. Do not draw any attention to us. I need you to reach into the glove compartment and hand me the black and yellow device. It looks like a walkie-talkie," Rodney said. Sally Joe did as she was told. Rodney dialed the same number Billy had earlier. "Classification 07421. 2 dead bodies. I have the target." She is DOA, Rodney said. Sally Joe began openly crying at those words. Rodney continued, headed to the safe house. ETA 20 minutes. He concluded. The safe house was in downtown Indy in an unsuspecting house. Inside the house was an escape room in the basement. Rodney sat in a straight-back chair watching the television as Sally Joe held her lifeless daughter and sobbed. Rodney was watching the Channel 13 news. The top story tonight is the death of gubernatorial candidate Agnes Woodstone. She was assassinated earlier this evening at her home in the gated community of Georgetown Plaza near Fishers, said the anchor. Rodney smiled wryly. How quickly they cover it up. He mumbled to himself. The anchor continued. The assailant of Ms. Woodstone was identified as William Allen Buck, aged 54. He was a homeless veteran who suffered from mental illness. Ms. Woodstone's detail was able to kill Mr. Buck after taking a shot to the left shoulder, shattering his clavicle. More details will come later. In other news, Rodney clicked off the television and moved to where Sally Joe sat with the body. I am sorry, Rodney said as he wrapped an arm around her. She fell into his large arms and sobbed. Chapter 23. 25 years later. Barbie Collins sat in the hotel bar of the Hyatt Regency in downtown Indianapolis. She was scrolling on her phone, now 43 years old and still very attractive. She was reading and shaking her head at the story shared on Facebook. The story was about the mystery of the disappearance of Shane Frost and the mysterious death of his father, Thurman. Thurman was found dead in an evergreen tree. How did he die, and how did he get into the tree? The body was mutilated. The body of Shane Frost was never found. As she read, she looked toward the door. She was supposed to meet a date here. She was a high-priced date for wealthy men. She was startled when a female slid into the opposite side of the booth. "Who are you? I believe you are waiting for me," the person said. "I think you might be confused. I only date men," Barbie said. "I can be very persuasive," she said. "Let me get a couple of drinks." The woman went to the bar and grabbed 2 drinks, Jack Daniels and Coke. Before delivering the drinks, she took a small pin and pierced her fingertip and allowed the blood to drain into one of the drinks. She added a small pill to it as well and delivered them to the booth. "Here you go. Jack and Coke as you like." They continued to talk, and Barbie was keeping an open mind as this evening was earning her $2,500. "You know, Maddie, you look a lot like someone from my past," Barbie said as she finished the last gulp of drink and suddenly saw her world spinning. "Oh, that drink went right to my head. I think I need to go to the powder room and splash a little water on my face," she said. "I could freshen up myself," the other woman said. She helped Barbie to her feet, and they meandered to the restroom. Once inside, Barbie said, "You look like Dr. Torrance, my school counselor." Barbie was losing control of her body. "Nice to see you again, Barbie," Ashley said as her face was shaped to reveal her real identity. Barbie collapsed to the ground, and Ollie dragged the body into a stall. As she sat the body on the commode, Barbie began to age into an old woman and then looked as if she were a skeleton. Ashley walked out to the mirror and looked at her face. Ashley's face began to change. This time she looked exactly like Barbie Collins. "I think I am going to enjoy being you Barbie Collinses," she said with a hiss.